Have you ever wondered how things connect in your business, or whether anything is connected in your business? And how do you make sure that what you're doing actually makes sense in light of everything else you're doing? And that is actually the subject of the tool we're going to look at today with Dan Sullivan, a strategic coach, who has created this tool called the Triple Play that absolutely transforms the way you look at seemingly unrelated aspects of your business. So Dan, once again, always a great honor and pleasure to have you on the Wealthability Show.
Thank you. Thank you, Tom. And I'll fill in everybody a little bit who I am. It's becoming apparent now that I'm one of the pioneers in entrepreneurial coaching because I've just completed my 50th year. I started off in 74, and the toughest sell was explaining what a business entrepreneurial coach, because it's all entrepreneurs. And so I'm 50 years in, and along the way we grew. It was one-on-one coaching, as many coaches do, for the first 15 years. And then we put it in, we had enough material, we had enough tools that we could put it into a workshop program, which started 35 years ago in 1989. And we're now, we now have quite an extensive program, mostly in the States. We're also in Canada and the UK. And then people come from all over the world, either to Toronto, Chicago being the two main centers. We also have Los Angeles, west coast of the US, and we also have London in the UK. And so it's entrepreneurs. We're sort of creating an operating system for the entrepreneurial business owner. And I made a decision, Tom, as I got close to creating the program in the late 80s, that I was watching, there was coaching programs really starting to develop. And I blame the personal computer for this, that once entrepreneurs got a personal computer, they could scale the impact of their work despite not having a huge corporation. They could be a single individual, the best, but some of them had teams of 5 to 15 people. And the computer made this possible with the software and the programs that came along with it. And so I decided then that I wasn't going to have a coaching program based on my personality. You have very famous coaches out there, and it's all based on their personality. But it was going to be based on a system of thinking tools, that we were going to take a look at what entrepreneurs are doing and say, I think what you're doing and the way you're trying to think about this is in a particular way. And I'm good at diagramming things. I know you are too. You're a great diagrammer. And but also question-based. You would ask a lot of questions, and then people would fill in their own diagram. It would be their thinking. It would be their decisions. It would be their insights. It would be their breakthroughs. And you would have these thinking tools, and they would build up as the stack of thinking capabilities. And I did that, and I've done that. We have 250 of them plus. I think we're beyond that now, but for 250. And it really got us introduced to the whole concept of intellectual property. And we've benefited enormously from your insights about the financial structures of intellectual property. And but about 3 years ago, we just hit pay dirt with a tool. This is after I'd created over 200 of them, and they're copyrighted and they're trademarked, and now about 50 of them are patented. And so anyway, it gives me a great pleasure to, this is like the thinking tool of thinking tools, Triple Play. And magic happened when we brought this in, and it was especially good for entrepreneurs who are creative by nature and like to really maximize their creativity by connecting things for themselves and their clients. So that's
Well,
really where we are today.
well, that's what I've loved about my time at Strategic Coach is entrepreneurs, I think as a group, we're very creative, where we like to think. What we need is some direction. in
Mhm.
how to make the connections. So we don't
Mhm.
always make the connections. I mean, like for me, I can make the connections in tax just about any possibility you give it to me, I can make a connection with it. But when it comes to business, that's a different animal, right?
Mhm.
And so I love that you're taking people who are already thinkers, by definition. Entrepreneurs are thinkers, and you're just giving them, you're really giving them some great direction on how to channel that thought process into making connections in triple play, which um, we started using a couple of years ago when I came in,
Mhm.
and it's a really interesting tool. And I will admit, Dan, I don't 100%. I don't think I'm maximizing it. So one of the things that what I want
That
to
would go for me too.
so I'm looking
It-
forward
it-
here to
it-
picking your
It's
brain about
it's
how
it's
to use this tool.
it's the tool that wants to eat me.
I love it. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna show the tool, but if you would, let's start out. And if you would just explain kind of your thought process behind this tool. It's a very simple diagram. Everybody's gonna get it immediately when you see it. That's what I love. That's what makes it such a great diagram, I think,
Mhm.
is that you immediately know that this is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So the one thing is that you could be doing any kind of thinking before this, and you'll come up with a number of important factors. And I find that three really works. That if you brainstorm a whole number of initiatives, perhaps that you're planning, or could be three problems that you have that you want to get clarification for. And just an insight that I've had in the last couple of weeks about this, Tom, is that when you have three things that you think are important, those are three competitors because each of those three things is actually
Sure.
competing for your attention. And what the triple play does, it brings any three things that you come up with being the three most important things. You take them from being competitors into collaborators.
All right. So if we can, let's take an example.
Hmm.
Um, I'll give you three things. So if that's okay, and
Hmm.
maybe kind of work together on
Yeah, and I'll coach you. Yeah,
how you would use the triple play. Okay,
yeah.
so we basically have three different businesses, three aspects of a business. One is we have a franchise,
Hmm.
okay, of tax advisors. One
Yep.
is we have software,
Hmm.
and one is we have an actual CPA firm.
Hmm.
Okay. So here's three things, not obviously connected,
Hmm.
okay, to each other.
Yeah.
So just kind of walk us through this, Dan, if you would. Okay,
Yeah.
where would you start here?
Yeah. So you start, you'll notice that there's three types of shapes on the screen. There's the arrows, which you just filled in. And then there's three they have pink outlines and the square cornered boxes. So we start there and you just choose one of the pink boxes. You got three to choose from, just choose
Okay,
one.
so let's choose this one right here.
Okay. So what I'm going to have you do is talk to me how your franchise and your software, what's a connection between those two things?
So there's a few connections. One is the franchisees actually use the software with their clients.
Okay. Okay. So franchisees
Use software.
use software
Okay,
for their customers or their clients, right?
right, for their clients.
For their clients. Okay. Okay. So right away, we've made a partnership between software and franchise. Where you were seeing them as three businesses, but actually the person that you're doing this for, actually they become a better franchisee in your business and in your network. They become a better franchisee because they're using software with their clients. Okay, so that's fine.
Exactly.
We leave that. Okay, pick one of the other two boxes.
Okay, let's talk about the uh, franchise and the CPA firm.
Okay, right. So that's the one on the left. So let's just talk about the franchise and the CPA firm. What's the connection between those two?
So we use the CPA firm. So it's the mothership,
Hmm.
if you will.
Yep.
And that's where we test everything.
Yep.
That's where we, like we've changed pricing, which is we do pricing in a unique way for our industry. And
Yep.
then we kind of roll that out to the franchisees, or we might have a technology that we're trying out in the CPA firm that then we learn from and goes to the franchisees. Or for that matter, I work with clients. And one of the reasons I work with clients is because now I understand, okay, what are the franchisees going through?
Yeah. Yeah. So what could a CPA firm is usually just a business for itself, but because you're using the CPA firm to actually develop new things for the franchisor, you could look at your CPA firm as an R&D company. That actually your CPA firm is now an RBA because which has the greatest multiplier to a CPA firm or a franchise?
Well, the franchise, clearly.
Franchise, that's where all your multiplier is. So
Right.
you take them and say that what we're really going exponential with is the franchisees. So we're using our CPA firm as the R&D firm for our franchises. And Tom, can I ask you a question about the CPA firm? You have your own clients for your CPA firm too.
Correct.
Yeah, it makes it gives you a real incentive to have the most diversified and interesting type of clients, so that you can create entirely new kinds of software for them, for yourself in the CPA firm, test it out, prove it, and that also tells you now we're giving them really cutting edge technology from the front lines,
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And what I've heard, the reason people become franchisees is they look at our CPA firm, they say, I want you to teach me how to do that.
Yeah.
Because the CPA firm, like, I've learned a lot of this from you, but I spend 5 hours a week at the CPA firm, and every CPA in the world would like to spend 5 hours a week and have, a good revenue stream at 5 hours a week. And because most of them are working 60 hours a week, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we've got two of the boxes. Let's take this
So the
off.
last one's the CPA firm and the software company.
Yeah. Okay. So talk me through the software a little bit and talk me through the.
So the software is a platform to actually take clients through a wealth and a tax strategy
Mhm.
so that they can actually become long-term successful in reducing their taxes, not just short-term successful. We find most tax advisors and CPA firms, what they're doing is they're giving tactics and they're saying, well, you can do this in this situation. They're very transactional. Whereas what we're trying to do differently is a very long-term, in fact, even a legacy type strategy that lasts even beyond your
Mhm.
lifetime.
Mhm.
And that you can literally every day for the next week, next month, next year, next 10 years, next 20 years, actually be reducing your taxes on a systematic basis. So the software is really to guide the client through. The
Yep.
CPA, can do this without, literally the CPA could do this without the software, but it guides the client because what it does is it gives the clients diagrams, it gives them tools, it gives them opportunities to actually record everything so that they can see it. Because one of the problems with taxes, of course, is it's such a complex area that clients get lost really easily. And by just putting it down in front of you, it makes it so much easier to see it.
Well, what I would say there, what I'm seeing from this is that you're actually creating a thing called a software empowered client.
Interesting.
The
Expand
software
on that.
Well, what I'm saying is Uh, so often, I mean, and we have our own accounting, our own accounting firm here, but we're taking them at their say so. We're not,
Right.
they're not giving us anything to think things through ourselves.
That's right. No, that's exactly right. They give you answers, and I always think that the advisor's job should be give you questions, not answers.
Yeah, I always say that CPAs do a reverse R factor question.
Ew.
R factor question is if we were having this discussion a year ago, or if we were if we were having a discussion a year from now, and you're looking back over a year from now, but what has to happen for you to feel better great with your progress over the next year? My experience of CPAs, they say, if we were having this discussion a year ago, what should you have done? So so I could have built so I could have built you more during the year.
I love that. One other
Yeah,
connection.
but what you're doing is you're empowering clients with cutting edge tax software.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, who else does this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
nobody so
Nobody.
far. And
Yeah,
one of the aspects of the
it's cutting edge.
yeah,
Yeah,
one of the aspects of this is the tools. And actually, one of the things the CPA firm contributes to the software is not just, going through it and working with clients, but actually a lot of the tools that we come up with. So I'm working with a client the other day, and we're working on, okay, what's your criteria for investing? And he goes, so I'm not understanding this very well. And I said, well, would it be helpful if we actually did this in a spreadsheet? He said that would be fabulous. So
yeah,
I went. So my partner and my CPA firm went back. She created the spreadsheet. I can't do that, but she created the spreadsheet. We brought back to the client. Client goes, "This is exactly what I need because I need to see it
yeah,
this way and be able to calculate it."
yeah, yeah, yeah. So the big thing is, just talk to me a little bit of what you're seeing so far, just from the three arrows and the three pink boxes.
So this is as far as I've taken it so far. So because I'm so interested in the green because what I'm seeing is that clearly, there's this interconnectivity
Yeah,
between the three groups, and
yeah.
and it's intentional.
They're not competing for your attention anymore. Each
They're
of them
part of a bigger plan.
each of them is helping the other two.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
you now have the franchise helping the software and the CPA. You now have the combination that you're a R&D firm. You're sort of an R&D firm for supplying the franchise. So uh, they don't just have a set number of apps that you're going to give them, and that's it for these are the patties, these are the buns, these are the shakes, these are the fries,
Right.
and the thing. You're saying, this is what we have now, but every year you're in the franchise, every year franchise, we're developing in our own CPA firm brand new software, testing it out in the market for you, and we're delivering you. And this is going to go on and
Right.
on and on and on. So you've created a tremendous differentiation with that.
Yeah.
And then you take the clients, the most important things, clients. You're making it possible for them to have an entirely different kind of client. Okay, in the
That's right.
market. Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
and that's actually what they tell us. So
yeah,
what our franchisees tell us is the clients that we do um with the TFW Advisor franchise, they're different clients.
yeah, yeah. They're totally different kinds of clients. Not only that, but they're different kind of clients who are going to tell their friends because people hang
Right.
out with the kind of
And they
people
do.
they say, no, you got to come here. You got to come here. You can't. No, I mean you're just missing the boat, if you're not involved with this particular firm, the CP, the franchise firm. Yeah, yeah,
Yep,
yeah.
totally. So
Yeah, so now we've created a integrated unity
okay.
where everything is pulling in the same direction. Okay. now we really now we really kick it off. We're heading towards global domination here.
All right, this is what I'm looking for because it's the
You
green
know,
boxes that always trip me up, Dan. It's always the green boxes that trip me up.
Yeah, I grew up on a farm in Ohio, and one of our neighbors who already had, and this is in the 1950s, they had around 1,500 acres, and diversified farm, but they had 15 acres, and they had a sign up. Um, we don't want to own the whole world. We just want all the property next to mine, next to ours. And now they're about 5,000. It's just a huge farm,
Nice.
and you don't get that type of farm in Ohio. They usually, 100 acre, 150
Right,
acre, and
right.
everything like that. Yeah. All right. So
Well,
what? Now we're going to pick a green box. Let's pick a green
all right,
box.
so let's pick this one down here
Okay.
on the left.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so we got software empowered client. We've
And
got
your farm
software
is an
empowered client.
R&D, and your farm is your CPA
CPA
firm
firm is the R&D.
as an R&D. So we've got a special type of CPA firm, an R&D CPA firm, and we have an unusual empowered with software client. So how do we take this to the highest level? How do we?
Well, that's
So
the question.
so what
That's
could be what could be a connector here? How could
well.
we?
So one thing I see as a connector, clearly, is that if the CPA firm is doing R&D for the franchisees, then it can actually be the one that comes up with the tools for the software.
Yep. But the other thing that the other thing that I can see happening, there's some sort of community that's being created here.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, we already have the franchise community, but also you're creating a community of software enabled, empowered clients. So you're creating a community, and and that suggests all sorts of things. Conferences, you can have conferences, and they're all part of it. And you can have a conference where the franchisees bring their most software enabled clients together and they can talk to each other.
Yeah, and we're actually developing that in the platform itself,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
people can talk to each other
So
in the platform.
they can do it virtually, but it's
Yep,
always good. And you live in a great city for having conferences,
it's true.
Yeah, and so that's the first thing I go. What I notice is that you're creating a special type of client who have more in common with what you're doing with your franchise owners and with your software. They have more in common with that than they do with other people in their own industry.
Right, right. It's fair. I like that. I like that.
Okay.
All right,
Okay.
let's do this next one. Let's do this one up here, where we've got um,
You
the
got
we got
you've got the R&D, your R&D
the
CPA
CPA R&D firm, and then we've got
at
the
the
franchisees using software for their clients.
yeah. Now, what this suggests to me that you're creating a second level of coaching. I mean, you have coaching within the franchise because there's a coach.
Right,
You have a coaching model, but now what you can do is that you can get the best of them. You can create a special group. So I always like creating clubs. I like creating clubs. In coach we have signature 10 times, and we
right,
have and what you can do then is you can start stratifying your because you're going to have franchisees who take and run with what you have, and you're going to have franchisees who want to be part of the creative process.
right.
Okay, so you can create you can create a what I would call advanced franchise, the advanced franchise group. Okay,
I like that.
and three always works. Three levels always works. You know.
Well, and the other thing we can do is going down a level, you can actually take it outside the franchise,
Yep.
right? So that could be a feeder for the franchise where you actually taking it to a much broader group of CPAs
Yep.
where they're kind of the more like a signature type program or like principles type program
Right.
and go to that. So that can be your base, kind of your first level, and then your regular franchisee is the second level, and then your advanced is the third level. I like that.
Yeah.
So that's all right.
Now, now here's the so we got the green box on the right, the empty one,
Yep.
and we have the software empowered franchisees who are working with their clients, and you have the software empowered clients. So how do we put those, how do we put them together? How do we put them together? What's the thing? Um,
Well, to me, one of the logical things to do would actually have you could actually do something similar to what we did with the three levels of
yeah,
franchisees
yeah,
and do it with the clients,
yeah. Three levels of
right?
client.
Three levels of client groups.
Yeah,
And the franchisees could be like the coaches.
yep, yep,
Three levels of client groups.
yeah,
Because now it can all be based on the software.
yep, yep. And of course, software, the AI revolution really fits into this.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can actually use the software within the group.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I like that. I like
yeah.
that.
Okay, well, this is we did a quick run through this. So what's showing up now as bigger and better as you think through this, what you've just done here?
Well, so clearly what I'm seeing is that independently franchise software and CPA firm, like you said, they split me three different ways, right?
Yeah,
But this first level basically brings those three together.
yeah.
So it seems like what we're doing is we're doing a little
I mean, the
we're
three
doing
are
a little
just,
syntropy and a little entropy.
yeah,
So we're basically bringing it together and then we're making it bigger in
yeah,
that third level.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Because
But
all of these items in the third level, in the green level, these are all bigger pictures.
yep,
These are all bigger opportunities than the individual franchise software or CPA firm
yeah,
would be by themselves.
yeah. And the big thing is that you have the flexibility that some of it can be in person and a lot of it can be in
Right.
virtual, virtual and everything. Yeah, I really like it. I mean, uh, yeah, I've gotten some ideas for what we're doing just from going through your triple play here.
And
I
this
think,
is this just the thought that we're tightening it and then we're expanding it,
yeah, you're simplifying and multiplying.
simplifying and then multiplying. Exactly.
Yeah,
To use your terms, right?
yeah,
The first thing we're doing is simplifying everything because
mhm,
three things by themselves is pretty complex. But
yeah,
one thing that's an overarching theme is simple, and then we go bigger,
mhm,
which then multiplies it.
yeah, yeah.
I like
The interesting thing now, you're in the highest level of our coaching program, the free zone, and the free zone is about collaboration.
right.
Okay. And so where you have three internal things, franchise software and the CPA firm, you can also do the triple play with three entirely different kinds of companies. You can put them together, and you could do that. So when I first started the free zone about, I would say 7 years ago when it started, I was thinking about it was always two that you take something and put it together
Mhm.
with something else. And then basically that franchise, the typical franchise company, franchise operation is two things, it's two
Right.
things. There's the person who's created the master structure, and then there's the people who buy the franchises, and you have a collaboration. But I've found invariably over the years, everybody I talk to, there's a built-in
Yep.
adversarialness to that right off the bat. Okay. But when you add a third thing, it always goes collaborative
Interesting.
because they keep each other honest. They keep each other honest because everybody has to be contributing for the whole thing to move forward. And allows you to go more and more to just what's unique about you, you know, that you're really bringing as an added value to the other two, and they're each uniquely doing something that brings value to their other two. So I think um, I'm inspired by this.
I like that. Yeah, me too. So, any other places that you've found? Because you use the triple play. I mean, every time we meet, we're using the triple play. So, any other um, areas of business that you find it particularly useful to do a triple play?
Yeah, well, the same thing. We do it inside of our company because we have about 120 team members. And generally, they operate within their operational frameworks. We have 12 different teams. And what I've discovered is you can take one person from a distinct team, another person from a distinct team, another thing, and you say, what's the biggest thing you're working on for each of them? And you put the thing. And then
Mm,
they work together to say there's a connection here and there's a connection there. And you've just created internal cohesion inside of an organization across team lines, across team boundaries. Okay. And
yeah,
they
so
have
you do
more.
that same thing that you were talking about with the franchise, where they're not competing anymore for
Yeah,
resources. They're actually working together to collaborate,
yeah,
build something bigger.
yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Do you know other franchise like a legal, in like a legal franchise? You could have a legal franchise, you could have a marketing franchise, and you'd put marketing, marketing,
Oh, for
account, and
sure.
law together, and, you're clever here, Tom, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to taxes.
It's always about taxes, Dan. Come on.
I see what you're up to.
Talk about whatever you want, but it all comes down to
I can
taxes.
tell you where this ends.
It always ends with the tax man for sure. So Dan, so again, everybody, strategic coach, strategiccoach.com.
Yeah.
Dan,
And we have a neat little book that they can send away for
oh
the book.
yeah, please.
It's called Everything is Created Backward. Okay. And what I mean by that is today we took three things and we looked backward. We looked at CPA, we looked at franchising, we looked at software. This already exists. You're not creating this new,
Right.
but you're putting the three together to create three brand new things. Okay. And I use the example in the book. It's called um, um, the book is called Everything Created Backwards. But I was talking about Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs was pretty good about this. If you take a look at Apple over its entire history, they never created anything new. Okay. Everything they worked on, I mean, personal computer already existed. Software already existed. And then Steve Jobs, he was fired um, by someone who almost bankrupted the company, and then they pulled him back in. And he got interested in music while he was out. And he created Pixar. He was one of the creators of
Right.
Pixar when he got out. And he got out, but he said, I got really interested in music. And he said, what I noticed was when I heard a song, I would, try to find out what the album was. And he said, I went into the store, and in order to buy the song that I wanted, I had to buy 11 other songs on the album. And he said, Scott, there's got to be, I don't want the other 11 songs. I just want the song that I want. So he said, and the MP3 player already existed. Sony was taking over the world with the Walkman. He had the MP3 player right off the bat. and the internet had been created, and actually there was a company, Napster, that was illegally downloading single music, and I mean it already existed how they were doing this. And he said, but stealing is just not a good business model long range. And and anyway, and Apple had already on their platform created a little app for iTunes so you could put your music into your computer. And he said, well, if we just take this, put these two things together, two things together, two things together, we can create a we can create a new kind of download, a new kind of system, and you can just buy the song you want. We'll charge $1 for it, and we'll give a lot of money. Since the artist has already created the music, we'll give them a big portion of the money. And within 2 years, Apple was the biggest distributor of music on the planet. And the neat thing about Steve Jobs that I always admired, he would get you totally panting. You were dribbling at what you could do. He said, and by the way, this is available tomorrow. This isn't something, that's going to be available on some Monday sometime in the future. He said, this is available tomorrow. But what he did, he just took stuff that already existed and put it together in an entirely new way. Okay. But it was based on him as a consumer going into the store and having what he considered to be an unsatisfactory experience. And he says, we got people who want to have this. And the artists weren't getting, they were getting, they weren't getting very much money out of their creativity. And he gave them a whole new added feature of profitability and productivity to their music careers.
Yeah. It's an amazing story, but I love the idea of you're creating it backwards.
Yeah, you're creating it backwards. Yeah, everybody says we're creating the future. Nobody creates the future. You take the past and recombine it in a new way that creates a present new capability. Yeah, and then they say, oh, he was visionary. Well, you weren't visionary. You were just putting new capabilities together, existing capabilities together in a new way.
Yeah. And when you think about it, you're just making new connections.
Yeah.
People had not made those connections before. Steve Jobs made new connections
Hmm.
that hadn't been made before, and then actually followed through on producing those connections for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an amazing. What a great tool, Dan. Thank you so
What are
much.
you going to do? What are you going to do tomorrow as a result of what we did today?
What am I going to do? Okay, so um, interestingly enough, we actually have some of this already in works, even on the outside level.
Yeah.
And however, one of the things that the creating the community, we've just kind of looked at the big picture of it, but to actually put it and actually start outlining, okay, what does this look like within the software community? What does this look like in a conference? What does this look like? And I think just putting together that, putting it down into words,
Yeah.
frankly, as to what needs to happen next, right? What needs to happen next in order for this to happen?
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I'd recommend is that you type this up, that you just get it, convert your script to typing, and then pick out three, or you can do it inside your firm with the lead dogs in your own firm, and you can say, here's what I'm thinking. What do you think about this? And they say,
I love
wow.
that.
Wow. Then you go out and you pick your three or four best franchises and you say, what do you think about this? And pretty soon you'll start seeing the clubs forming, the people who want to be part of this.
Nice.
Yeah, and same thing with
Same
clients.
thing with clients.
Same thing with clients.
Just
And
put
then
it out there.
yeah, and say this is what we're putting together for a
I
future for
love
the
it.
future. Yeah,
I love it. That is awesome. That is awesome.
yeah,
So again, Dan Sullivan, strategic coach. It's
yeah.
really thinking about.
Strategiccoach.com. And if you go to our site and you want the book, it's a small book, so it'll help pay for our production costs. So anyway, but just download it, and it's got an audio track, it's got a video track, it takes you through the entire logic of this tool, which by the way is patented, and and Anyway, but thanks for the opportunity to go through with this.
No, thank you. And thanks to all our listeners, those on YouTube who are watching this, those who are listening to it on the podcast. If you're listening to it on the podcast, please go and actually get the book, because you're going to need to see the visual of this. And please go to it on YouTube, watch it on YouTube, because, my experience is the more that you repeat this, the more you listen to it, the more you see it. I mean, I learned so much today, Dan, and I've been, and I'm coming every quarter, and plus every month we've got the virtual
2-hour sessions.
And we're constantly using this, and yet still every time we do it, I'm learning something new, like I did today. So please repeat this, send it to your friends, press like, all that kind of stuff, and make sure that you let lots of people know that these tools are available. And what Dan's most brilliant at is thinking about thinking. And when you think about thinking, instead of just about doing, and you actually think about how you should be thinking about it, what's always going to happen is you're going to make way more money. And in the end, pay way less tax. We'll see everybody next time.
Thank you, Tom.
This podcast is a presentation of Rich Dad Media Network.